much as the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Basically, my co-host on Game Time Decisions, Josh Doan, is featured so much. And I also want to say this basically now confirms we are the premier Josh Doan network in all of sports media. No way no other show mentions Josh Doan as much as this one. Is that a success? Is that a failure? I don't know, but I think it's true.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Meanwhile, Charlie Baker of the NCAA has planted his flag. He wants to see the end of prediction markets, and of course is a little bit nervous with all of the different stories that we've heard surrounding sports betting allegations of some folks being corrupt out there and maybe some point shaving. It does make some sense here. I just wonder which of the sports betting operators are going to stand with the NCAA.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So yeah, so that was I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show in.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Good afternoon. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. Get ready for an action-packed Thursday edition of the show. Creeping up to the Super Bowl, we'll have a full preview from the New England Patriots point of view. We've got Mike Kadlick here on the show to break it all down for you. In addition, the latest in the National Basketball Association, some college hoops as well. Michael DeCourcy weighs in on everything happening there. Also, my buddy Rich Waltz, who covers college basketball and does a fantastic job play-by-play for CBS Sports Network. He's going to join us on the show as well. We'll talk about some bracketology. Yes, folks, we are getting out of the football season and into basketball mode and baseball mode. That's where we are. I know it feels cold everywhere where you're watching, I'm sure, but we warm up with some college hoops today here on the show. Let's start off with our top story of the day, and we deal with prediction markets as we seemingly are always at the top of the show, too. Coalition for Prediction Markets. That includes Kalshi, Coinbase, Robinhood. Took out a full-page ad in the Washington Post. Why did they do it? They're making the effort to advocate for a regulated prediction market association with an ad. In the Washington Post, it lays out the differences between prediction markets that are registered with the CFTC and unregulated platforms as well. Naturally, it's a state-by-state situation where some states feel they can operate and some don't. Trying to form a coalition will, I guess, make them feel a lot better about their situation, meaning that they're working together to legalize this in some way. But needless to say, states still want their money, they still want their taxes, and they still want them to be regulated by the gaming associations as well, but they claim they're not gaming. Very complicated if you're not familiar with Kalshi, Robinhood, or any of our other shows that we discuss this. We do it every day here on the show. I would encourage you to watch as often as possible to learn more about that in the future. Virginia House of Delegates, meanwhile, overwhelmingly voted on a bill to ensure that folks are not just dropping their credit cards online and maxing out their cards to bet on sports. That makes sense. At a floor session on Wednesday, delegates approved a House bill by a vote of 94-3. It will now be sent to the Senate, and they're looking to follow other states like Iowa, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Vermont, and Illinois, rejecting and restricting credit card use for gambling in the future. So essentially, those of you who want to just drop $10,000 on your credit card, and then you have these big credit card bills, and obviously with gambling, you don't know if you're going to win or you're going to lose, trying to eliminate that from the conversation. I like it. Pro Football Hall of Fame has released a statement regarding Bill Belichick's non-voted in to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The statement says if it is determined voting members violated the selection process bylaws, an action will be taken, including removal as a member of the selection committee. I do see this morning that we're starting to percolate with some folks who were admitting they did not vote for Belichick, which, by the way, nothing wrong with that if that's their opinion. I have a feeling a lot more will be said on this before the Super Bowl next week, especially when they make this announcement coming up. I believe it is next Friday or Saturday night. Drake May limited in practice ahead of the Super Bowl, but no issue there. Also, Bo Nix says his ankle injury is not a concern. He'll be back in 4 to 6 weeks. Sean Payton said at his press conference there was some pre-existing injury to Bo Nix, and it was inevitable this was going to happen. Nix has pushed back on that. I don't know if we have a battle with Nix and Payton at this point. I guess wait to see. All right, Cavs beat the Lakers very easily last night in what could be LeBron's farewell to Cleveland. 129-99. Cleveland takes care of LA. They were 3.5-point favorites. Donovan Mitchell had 25 points. Cavs are one of the hottest teams in the NBA. They've won 5 straight games, but the story, of course, was LeBron, who looked up at the Raptors and saw all of the things that, of course, meant a lot to him, including championships and seeing some of his old buddies there, seemingly kind of pointing toward the last ride for LeBron in Cleveland. Take a listen.
Well, I mean, obviously, my teammate who I won the championship with, did the knife, took the knife out, RJ took the knife out of the thing. Obviously the moment they put up there with their, the Detroit game, looking up in the rafters at, I seen our championship banner. So yeah, of course it was a lot of reflecting for sure. Is that like a tradition they doing that now here? They pulled a knife out? Okay, cool. I looked at some of our assistant coaches on the bench and I was like, it's crazy that I'm watching my teammate that I won a championship from 10 years ago, and now he's an analyst, and I'm still playing. And it is super, super crazy to think about that. But a lot of us are still on a group chat. Myself, Channing, RJ, Tristan, K-Love. And we got some plans for our 10-year reunion that will be finalized after the season, Kev's season, my season. And it'd be good to see those guys again.
Who knows if he will retire? Sort of. I feel like this is it for LeBron this year. I don't know. All right, Knicks take care of the Raptors 119-92. They blew them out. Mikal Bridges had 30 points in this one, and it was an absolute blowout in the second half as the Knicks outscored the Raptors 72-41. After the game, Mike Brown gave all the props to his defensive wizard, OG Anunoby.
OG was our defensive player of the game. I think he had six steals, 7 deflections. Like, those numbers are unheard of defensively. And, the thing that I loved about OG was his ability to attack the rim. Like, he attacked the rim like a grown man.
For the offense to slow down, we got a little stagnant. I thought we pushed the pace in the first and second quarter a little bit more than the second half. And they just got a little bit more physical. They capitalized off our turnovers, off our missed shots. They ran in transition, and we weren't making shots.
Did you watch the show yesterday? Well, I kind of gave you a clue what could potentially happen when the Heat plays the Magic. Usually wacky things happen. Paolo Banchero helped the Magic beat the Heat last night, 133-124. The Heat were 3-point favorites. They lose. They have not beaten the Magic once this season. They are 0-4. Here's Jamal Mosley on the outcome.
First off, just how much pressure does getting a win like this do for a group just to kind of feel that flow and that confidence again?
The best part about it is that, the things that we've been working on and the things that we've been talking about, we've executed for the most part. And that's what you're most proud of, not necessarily the pressure of getting a win. It's that the things that you've been doing are now being rewarded because of the way we chose to play tonight.
We started out flat. It's hard to explain that. Slowed the pace down, then they were scoring, then it led to us turning the ball over. We had some really, deflating offensive possessions. But we couldn't guard, to give up a 40-point third quarter on our home floor with great opportunity and playing really well in the first half. We just paid the price for that. We missed this opportunity, great opportunity tonight.
San Antonio 111, Houston 99. That was the final in that matchup last night. Rockets were 2.5-point favorites. They don't win, they don't cover. Of course, San Antonio does. Victor Wembanyama had 28 points and 16 rebounds in the game. All right, over to college hoops we go. Number 25, St. John's. They're playing some great basketball. They've now won 7 straight games, destroying Butler 92-70, 12.5-point favorites. They end up winning. Ian Jackson had 18 points in the game, and right now it seems like Rick Pitino pretty happy with some of the way that his younger players are progressing.
Well, I didn't think we'd have a problem, but then when I realized we did, but now we don't have as many problems because Ian's getting better and better, and Dylan Darling's good. So, it's like I said to you guys all along, not just with us, with every coach in the country. The most difficult thing is not navigating the portal, raising money. The most difficult thing is coaching 8 new players every year, and it's not going to be a finished product early on. Now, if you get 4 or 5 starters back in a given year, but that's very few teams have that. So it's just evolving the way we hoped.
Betting sweat last night. If you took Houston, they beat TCU 79-70. They were 8.5-point favorites. Kingston Fleming's 27 points. And the Florida Gators beat South Carolina in an ugly one, 95-48, one of the biggest wins they've had by a margin in the history of college basketball at the University of Florida. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more with Michael DeCourcy from Sporting News. He's up next. Don't go away.
You got to get on a bus. Then you got to get to the hotel. All right, you got to check into your room. You got to go through all this crap. It's like, yeah, it's done for you, but it's still not like you're still sitting there. You're still in traffic. Yeah, you're still like it's still 2 a.m. You still want to be in bed, right? You're like, oh my God, I'm on some highway in Calgary right now. It's 3:30 in the morning, and we're playing against the Canucks tomorrow, right? Like it's not as smooth as people always think.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. There's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Hey, daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good. Yeah. But all of a sudden, the prospect of daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
In reality, you and I could coach Josh Allen to 11 wins. Like, it's not that monumental of a task, right? I mean, Josh Allen alone gives you 9, if not 10 wins, just because he's on the field. So we're not asking for much here. The real question is can he coach somebody? Can somebody coach them through the playoffs and make critical decisions that open the door for them to get past certain opponents?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Hey, great to catch up with Michael DeCourcy on some college hoops. We'll be doing this a lot more as we move forward. Mike, great to have you back here on NewsWire. You could read more on Mike's college basketball coverage over at sportingnews.com. Okay, we start off with the Gators, Mike, on the show today. That's where I want to begin here. 6-1 in their last 7 games. The defending champs are playing well. They're winning games in the SEC and blowing teams out. They beat South Carolina last night 95-48, and outside of their loss against Auburn, they look every bit of the title contender that they did last season. It just seems like, even with a couple of the losses of the players that they had last year, of guys going to the NBA, they're starting to find their footing, aren't they?
I think they're becoming a team that certainly has a chance to win it. Thomas Houck has been phenomenal, one of the best players in the country, and you need that kind of talent to win it. You don't win 6 games in the NCAA tournament with good college players. You need those guys who are going to be pros, and certainly Thomas fits that description. Chinaloo has been phenomenal. Only had 11 rebounds last night. When you have to apologize for 11 rebounds, I think you're on a pretty good roll. He's been just fantastic the last month, and the backcourt is coming along. It's still not ever going to be what last year's was. Last year's Walter Clayton was one of the best players in the country. You don't have that now, and so that's a little bit different a formula than you had a year ago, but still very much a team that can contend for everything, and very much a team that could win the Southeastern Conference and whatever reward in the NCAA tournament that provides.
Yeah, I agree. And it should be a fun finish here in the SEC. And also, let's get to the University of Tennessee, the 850th win of Rick Barnes' career. He's had a stellar one both at Texas and as the head coach of the Volunteers. What do you make of their win yesterday? And certainly, do you see Tennessee as a title contender? The Gators just beat them, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago. Big win last night.
I don't know about national championship because they're very thin at the guard position beyond Jacoby Gillespie. That's why you see Nate Ament play as much above the circle as you do. But Gillespie's fantastic, and Ament's a great talent, and they have a phenomenal front court that has such great depth. Opara is a great defensive player. JP Estrella has been really good at both ends. So it's a team that certainly can contend for the SEC title. And I would not be at all surprised to see them take a run at the Final Four. But I think when you get to that level, you probably need a little bit more of an option in the backcourt beyond what Gillespie provides. He's certainly going to give you enough from his position, but they just don't have that second, third guard that everybody else that wins it does. I do like this team, and I think they certainly have a great potential to do well in March.
Auburn and Texas, no strangers to the NCAA tournament at this point. Auburn takes care of Texas. Maybe this will help their cause come March. But as of right now, neither team in particular having fantastic seasons, Mike. So they're going to need some help probably within their conference tournaments. And always these head-to-head matchups definitely do matter when the NCAA has to make their choice.
Yeah, Auburn's got kind of a funny resume in the sense that they schedule really heavily, and it looks like Bruce is going to be the coach kind of schedule, and then Steven took over, and it's like, geez, thanks, Dad, for this schedule. I mean, they've lost to several of the very best teams in the country. Almost all their losses are to not good opponents, but elite opponents, but at the same time, they haven't had the occasion to beat many quality teams. Texas is sort of that, probably not quite what I'm talking about. They need more swings at Florida, and that was a great win for them. That kind of win that they got over the weekend, they need more of that. And if they continue to perform as they have, I think you're going to see them climb up the seeding charts on the various brackets, including mine at Fox Sports. They were 7th, I think, on my most recent bracket on the 7 line, and I think that after taking care of Texas, they have a chance to continue to climb. Texas just needs to get more consistent. I believe the stat I heard was they had not won more than 2 consecutive games all year. Last night was a chance for them to break through, and they were in it and had a great chance to win, but faded at the end.
Meanwhile, in the SEC, Arkansas has moved up with some of the shortest odds to win the conference. They're having a really nice season with Coach Cal. Alabama plus 750. You see the Hogs there at 4-1 behind Florida. A&M there at 12-1 and Vanderbilt at 13-1. At this point, the Gators have to be the favorites. I mean, they played the best basketball recently, but look out for Arkansas, right?
Yeah, I think Arkansas is excellent. I kind of like Vandy because they just have a terrific team and something of a home court advantage there. But the problem that you run into is that not only does Florida have the best team, but the odds makers, they're no dummies, right? They looked at the schedule. The schedule's really advantageous. When they go on the road, it's not to the tougher opponents in the league. In Vandy's case, which the longest odds of what you presented, and I kind of like what they have a little bit in terms of where they have to go. They got to go to Ole Miss. They have to go to Mizzou. They have to go to Kentucky. Those are all winnable games for them. So I think that they have a chance. If you wanted to make some money, so to speak, on this, I think that would be the place. But between the team and the schedule, I think Florida's going to win the league.
Let's take a look quick, Mike, before you go, at the weekend schedule in college basketball, headlined by the Battle of Michigan between the Wolverines and Spartans. Number 3 takes on number 7 there. Arizona's unbeatable. I don't expect them to lose to Arizona State, but I guess you never know. Then we have BYU, Arkansas, Kentucky taking on Arkansas in the Coach Cal game, and then St. Mary's, Gonzaga. I mean, that generally tends to be a good matchup, regardless of when these two teams play. Gonzaga ranked 6th in the country, so I would expect no different there.
Yeah, they're all great games. So that interesting that Michigan is a favorite in a road game against a team that's been on my 2 line. So that's really an interesting number. And then the Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsa showdown in that mid-afternoon Kansas BYU game, really exciting. Peterson missed the most recent game. He's got a little ankle problem to go with all the other issues he's had this year. But Bill Self is saying he's going to play. So you've got probably 1 and 2 in the NBA draft facing off against each other. And they're not just 1 and 2. Craig, they're excellent players. I mean, they have a chance, each of them, to be generational type players in the NBA. So really excited about getting a chance to see that.
Great stuff, Mike, as always. We'll catch up again soon. Thanks again. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
You got to get on a bus. Then you got to get to the hotel, all right? You got to check into your room. You got to go through all this crap. It's like, yeah, it's done for you, but it's still not like you're still sitting there. You're still in traffic. Yeah, you're still like, it's still 2 a.m. You still want to be in bed, right? You're like, oh my God, I'm on some highway in Calgary right now. It's 3:30 in the morning, and we're playing against the Canucks tomorrow, right? Like, it's not as smooth as people always think.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. There's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of Daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
In reality, you and I could coach Josh Allen to 11 wins. Like, it's not that monumental of a task, right? I mean, Josh Allen alone gives you 9, if not 10 wins, just because he's on the field. So we're not asking for much here. The real question is can he coach somebody? Can somebody coach them through the playoffs and make critical decisions that open the door for them to get past certain opponents?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. The Denver Broncos season is over. They tinkered with their staff, made some changes. We'll hear from Sean Payton. Also, Kevin Stefanski, now the head coach in Atlanta, has to get a quarterback better next year. There's no question about that. Also, Zach Robinson, new coordinator, getting ready for his run with Baker Mayfield. We'll hear from all of those and more. It's time now for the SportsGrid Sound Off. All right, let's get started here. Let's hear from Sean Payton. He is the head coach of the Denver Broncos. Of course, they came up just short this past week in that awful weather game against the Buffalo Bills. Payton, going into next year in his exit interview for this year, says that things will start completely over, new slate, etc., etc.
Each year you start over, you've got to reset the board. But how can the success that you guys had this year, first division title in 10 years, help you as you move forward and kind of take that next step?
Yeah, but I love the question, but man, I will not use that word, take the next step. We go back to the start of the race. Like every 32 teams has to go back and go meet their parents, eat their oranges, and get ready to start again. Like that's really important. Now, we do that with more resources. We do that without dead cap. We do that with a foundation in place. We do that with optimism and confidence from the journey we've been on. And I think that's important.
Meanwhile, Kevin Stefanski goes from Cleveland to Atlanta. What does that mean? Time to cultivate his relationship with his new quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., and development is the key word in this situation. Penix up and down, I would say, in his first year. Stefanski says it's time to boost that up.
I think player development I'm a maniac about it. I'm just crazy about development of our players. We want to be a very intentional group when it comes to developing players. Obviously, the quarterback position's at the forefront of that. So we've certainly, I've been able to be exposed to different quarterbacks, whether it's rookies or 40-year-old Brett Favre, 40-year-old Joe Flacco. So I've seen a bunch of different guys at that position, and I think it's our job as coaches to put structure around them, to put a curriculum together in the offseason to get them up to speed in whatever areas, to give them very specific things that we are going to work on together so that they can improve. I think one thing you'll find from our coaches is there'll be specific things that they are working on with the players on a daily basis, and I just believe being intentional about it gives you the opportunity to have development on the other side.
Bucs also made a change at offensive coordinator, looking to get better next season. The Bucs really struggled offensively in the second half of the NFL season. They brought in Zach Robinson, and he's the new offensive coordinator and definitely is going to be one-on-one with Baker Mayfield this offseason and this summer. He talked about just how good Baker can be.
Sure, it's a big deal. We got Baker in 2022. We'd had some injuries at the quarterback spot, and I've known of Baker for a long time. I went to Oklahoma State. He went to Oklahoma. He diced us up every single time, that they played. Have had a ton of respect from him from afar as a player. And then to be able to get him in there and see just the type of worker he was, I'll never forget, we gave him a handful of plays, short week, Thursday night game. So we gave him kind of a menu of plays, and Baker probably tell you about 20 to 25 plays. And it was like at 10 o'clock at night. He came in the next day, and I saw his notebook. We had bathroom break. I saw his notebook. He had highlighters everywhere, color-coded. And right away I was like, okay, I know the player, I know the talent, but he's made of all the right stuff. And so obviously that time that we spent together was invaluable during a tough season. He came in, ignited that group. But I'm fired up to work with Bake and the rest of the guys. It's a good group of dudes, and I'm looking forward to it for sure.
All right, so now the big story, of course, going on in sports right now is the Super Bowl. We're all getting prepared for that, but naturally there's so many other things going on, including the NBA, the trade deadline, and some college basketball as well. You want to make sure you stay on the grid here to make sure you get all the very best coverage in terms of sports betting, information, and news as it pertains to prediction markets. The best way to do that is to download the SportsGrid app. So take out your iPhone or Android and just scan this QR code. You can stream our shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And folks, that app is free. Don't have to buy anything to watch our shows. SportsGrid app now available for iOS and Android as well. Coming up next, Cleveland spoils the LeBron James potential finale. We will weigh in on that with Dexter Henry next. Don't go.
much as the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Basically, my co-host on Game Time Decisions, Josh Doan, is featured so much. And I also want to say this basically now confirms we are the premier Josh Doan network in all of sports media. No way no other show mentions Josh Doan as much as this one. Is that a success? Is that a failure? I don't know, but I think it's true.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Meanwhile, Charlie Baker of the NCAA has planted his flag. He wants to see the end of prediction markets, and of course is a little bit nervous with all of the different stories that we've heard surrounding sports betting allegations of some folks being corrupt out there and maybe some point shaving. It does make some sense here. I just wonder which of the sports betting operators are going to stand with the NCAA.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So yeah, so that was I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show with.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. My producers, Luke, Frank, they're eating up all my private time off the air with Dexter talking about cold weather. You know, it is like 60 here today in Florida, but that's fine. You know, I don't want to throw it in Dexter's face here.
Greg, you just did. You literally just did. You did.
Yeah, well, you know, a subtle sort of passive-aggressive way there. Okay, so let's get last night to a guy that used to play here in South Florida. That is LeBron James. He's seemingly, I don't know why, getting so much attention here. This must be a farewell tour if everybody's talking about it. He goes to Cleveland last night, and it was not a competitive game. Cleveland is now playing good basketball again. They beat the Magic a couple times, the Kings, the Hornets, now the Lakers. And so this is where we thought they would be at the beginning of the season. They just took an odd route to get there. So two-part question here, I guess. Let's start off with Cleveland being legit again for you, Dexter. We'll start there. And then I sort of, when I see these sort of things, it sort of makes me feel like if LeBron is answering questions and he's sort of diving into this and they're making a big deal out of it, maybe indeed this is his last run in Cleveland.
So I was wondering about this, right? Is it his last run in Cleveland, or does he just know his time with the Lakers is limited? We know how much LeBron takes up a bunch of the cap. He's absolutely, next season, if he plays, he's going to absolutely take a reduction, and I'm not sure it'll be with the Lakers. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with LeBron going there. But you saw him get emotional during that tribute video last night where they showed him scoring the 25 straight points against Detroit back in the day. And so he got very emotional. I think he just knows a lot of things are coming to an end. I don't know if it's a finality as far as this season, Craig, but I think he understands there's not that many games left. As far as the Cavs, look, you're right. A lot of people expected them to be at the top of the standings. Thought it would be them and the Knicks, 1-2 in the East. They have not played in the same fashion. They have not played in the same way, but you mentioned the wins they've got against lesser opponents. Lakers, a better opponent, although they have their issues defensively, and the Cavs did what they were supposed to do. I think what was most impressive last night was what they were able to do in the third quarter, where they put up 42 points. They were 17 of 25 from the field, 7 of 11 from three. You like that offensive output. You like the balance that they had overall, and their scoring led by Donovan Mitchell. So the Cavs seem to be playing some good basketball. I always thought they would bounce back and get to the top of the standings, and now you're starting to see that, and they're stringing together some good wins. You know, I forgot, I shouldn't say, the Kings and the Hornets, lower opponents, but the Magic, those were 2 good wins against the Magic, Eastern Conference playoff team, play-in team right now. So the Cavs are starting to turn things around. It looks good for them.
Yeah, definitely so. And I think right now the Lakers just looking to kind of get back on the right track, and certainly they will before the end of the season, probably by making some trades of some kind, always involved in rumors and not and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. Okay, so Heat Magic here. Not surprising to me that this is a close game. Well, I mean, 9 points, not as close maybe as I would have thought last night. I guess the shocking part about this, Dexter, is that the Heat can't beat the Magic this season. They've lost all
Yeah.
4 times they've played. Paolo Banchero had 31 points last night. And look, Heat has been up and down a little bit. Magic has been up and down, but I feel like probably Orlando finishes ahead of Miami in the standings here. But my confidence on either of these two teams going deep into the playoffs is minimal. But I would say both probably have a shot to get in.
Yeah, I think you'd probably feel better about Orlando. You're right, Craig. They've had their number this season. They also had a crazy game where they had a game winner by Desmond Bain this year. So the games have been competitive. Orlando, the better defensive team. That's probably why I trust them a little bit more. This was a game of runs. Miami, they were down 14 in the first half. They came back with a run. They took the lead, but then there was a huge fourth quarter. They had a 14-0 run. Orlando did in that one. They also had they doubled up Miami in the third quarter. It's funny. It's a very big theme last night. A lot of teams had big third and fourth quarters. We just talked about that with the Cavs. They doubled them up 40-20 in that third quarter. So the thing with Miami, is that they're still trying to, I think, find their way defensively. Will they make moves at the deadline? Would they sell some of their pieces? You and I have talked all year long about, will they trade Tyler Hero? Will they move on from him? Will they be involved in the Giannis sweepstakes? That's very interesting. Orlando, they know who they are defensively, right, Craig? But offensively, they can be up and down. They showed a good offensive quarter in the third last night, and then were able to finish in the fourth with another big 14-0 run. So, look, I think Orlando's a better team that could make some noise in the playoffs right now. Miami, I think they're still trying to find themselves.
Knicks last night take care of the Raptors 119-92. I'm sure this was one of your focal points last night in the NBA. I heard Mike Brown after the game saying that OG Anunoby had a big game for them, so we can certainly acknowledge that. Look, the Knicks went through their little slump. It appears they're kind of getting out of it right now, I would say, Dexter, which is a good reminder to fans out there not to freak out when your team loses 3-4 in a row in the middle of January.
Yeah, they had a bad stretch in January, 2-9 in an 11-game stretch, and they'd lost 4 in a row, but now they've won 4 in a row. So I think fans would have said, okay, I don't know if they're riding the ship, but I think this win was one of the Knicks' most impressive wins of the season. And here's why. Jalen Brunson played, but he was battling an illness, so he was very limited. There was no Mitchell Robinson. There was no Deuce McBride in this one. You mentioned OG Anunoby, huge in this game. 26 points, season high 6 steals, really changed the game in the third quarter, along with Mikal Bridges, who scored 19 of his 30 in that third quarter. It was a really good defensive performance. And in this 4-game stretch, Craig, it's defense again for the Knicks. The defense has really stepped up, which is where they struggled during that 11-game stretch. But in this 4-game stretch, the Knicks have only had an opponent score over 100 points once, and that was the Sixers, who scored 109 points against them last Saturday. So the defense has been really good. Guys seem to have bought in on that end. I think some guys maybe also have been woken up a little bit by the fact that all the Giannis talk. So you're right. It's a long season. You can't get too down, but the Knicks are starting to play good basketball again, and they're going to look to see if they can build on it, because on Wednesday against the Kings, that started a stretch for them as they approach their All-Star break with 10 games in 16 days with 3 back-to-backs. They just finished a back-to-back last night. So it's a very important stretch for the Knicks as they approach the trade deadline and the All-Star break.
All right, so speaking of hot teams, the Atlanta Hawks playing good basketball lately. They've won a few in a row here, and they're getting points tonight against Houston at home. Let me get your opinion on this game, Dexter. 8 p.m. tip, 225 is the total between the Rockets and Hawks, and seemingly things continue to go well for the Hawks without Trae Young. Can they continue the momentum tonight?
Yeah, the Hawks, this is an interesting game. Houston, very good defensive team, give up around 110 points a game. The Hawks, they can score the ball. They score about 117 points a game. So something has to give here in this one on the road. I like Houston's defense to travel, but I do think you might want to look at the over in this one at 225. The Hawks just have an ability to put up points. Houston's the kind of team I could see their defense holds. They get up on them 8 or 9 late, but the Hawks are able to squeak some points out at the end. Look, the Hawks are a competitive team. They're going to play hard, well coached by Quinn Snyder. I don't love the line because I could see this getting a little bit close late, but I'm gonna go with the over on the points. I think the Hawks are able to push this, and I'm gonna go over the 225 in that over-under line for total points.
Two good teams playing tonight in the desert. We've got the Detroit Pistons surging toward the playoffs. Phoenix, good basketball team as well. Detroit probably better on paper, but the line tells us 4.5-point spread, total 215 in a late start this evening. Does Phoenix have enough tonight to overcome Detroit?
Yeah, I say no because no Devin Booker. Devin Booker out of this game. That total line shows you there with the 215. They're respecting both of these defenses in this one. I like Detroit to cover here on the road. They've won 4 straight on the road. I think they can keep that alive once again. I'm going to go with Detroit to cover. I'd stay away from that line there. Jalen Duren, look at his over for rebounds in this one. I think this is going to be a defensive slugfest. If you are going to play that line, I might actually be inclined to go with the under, but it's a stay away from me, and I'm going to go with Detroit to cover here.
All right, finally, great matchup tonight between Oklahoma City and Minnesota. The Thunder rarely anything less than 8 or 9 point favorites. They are 6 tonight on the road at Minnesota. Total 225.5. If OKC doesn't play San Antonio or Houston or Denver in the finals in the West, maybe it's Minnesota. Who knows? Maybe this could be a preview.
Yeah, it could be a rematch of last year's Western Conference Finals. And look, I think Minnesota's going to be motivated in this one. I really do. I would take Minnesota plus the points in this one. I think they're going to keep it close. I think it's going to be really competitive. I like how they haven't been playing well lately, but this is a game they're going to circle on their calendar. This is one of those they can get up for, Craig. So give me Minnesota plus 6 in this one. I like them to be very competitive and keep it close. I think the guys will be motivated against OKC.
All right, Dexter, stay warm this weekend. Thanks again for coming on NewsWire. I appreciate it.
Well, you stay cool, Craig. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Just the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Basically my co-host on Game Time Decisions, Josh Doan, is featured so much. And I also want to say this basically now confirms we are the premier Josh Doan network in all of sports media. No way no other show mentions Josh Doan as much as this one. Is that a success? Is that a failure? I don't know, but I think it's true.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Meanwhile, Charlie Baker of the NCAA has planted his flag. He wants to see the end of prediction markets, and of course is a little bit nervous with all of the different stories that we've heard surrounding sports betting allegations of some folks being corrupt out there and maybe some point shaving. It does make some sense here. I just wonder which of the sports betting operators are going to stand with the NCAA.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So yeah, so that was I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show with.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Always fun to catch up on the ground floor on the New England Patriots as they head toward the Super Bowl. Mike Kadlick joins us from Sports Illustrated SI Now, covering the Patriots and this incredible run that they've had in the playoffs on their way to the Super Bowl. Mike, thanks for coming on NewsWire. Great to have you here on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Happy to do it. Like you said, quite the wild run here in Foxborough, starting up again here as we get ready for Super Bowl 60. So happy to join you. Thanks for having me.
Less than 2 weeks away. I mean, here we are. Who would have had this? Patriots winning 14 games during the regular season, taking care of the Chargers, Texans, and Broncos along the way. I think everyone's got to be kind of tired of saying that the Patriots have sort of cruised their way through the playoffs here with these matchups that they have. We get it. We see it on paper. We understand. They didn't have to beat a juggernaut this year, but who cares? You can only play who's in front of you, and that's what people should be talking about this year.
No, I'm with you. And yeah, I mean, you look at those three teams they've taken down in the Chargers, the Texans, and the Broncos. And while some may say it's been a cakewalk and the regular season schedule wasn't as easy as some others. A, they got here, but B, those three defenses they played were legit. The Chargers were able to get after Drake a little bit. Houston, obviously, with those dual edge rushers and Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, took him to the ground a couple times. And last week against Denver, with the weather coming in the way it did, it wasn't easy throwing the football either. But the offense was able to generate enough points. They scored 10. Drake May himself has been able to use his legs to make up for the lack of success through the air, and have been able to make it work. So you can only play who's in front of you, and they've made it happen thus far. And now they're taking on a different juggernaut, as we've said, in the Seattle team, who has quite the defense, as well as Sam Darnold playing some of the best football of his career as well.
Yeah, no question. Let's get an update real quick. I see that this preliminary practice report has some sort of issue with Drake May that I'm not aware of. I'm positive with 10 days to go that this guy's going to play and probably play very well in the Super Bowl. But what is going on exactly?
Yeah, so Twitter doctors went kind of rogue this weekend and had figured out that Drake may have hurt his shoulder a little bit in the game. Now they have not practiced yet this week, as we mentioned. Today's the first one, but they did still have to submit a preliminary practice report through the league. So it was sort of an estimated deal, and they listed Drake as limited with a shoulder injury. So I guess that is promising, given where we're at with this, that he did not practice, and that he would have been limited should they have played. So not something I would be terribly worried about if you're a Patriots fan or this team in general. Again, Drake spoke about it a little bit yesterday. Was on the local radio station out here, and just mentioned that it was kind of a wear and tear thing, it seems, and they've been at this for 30 weeks now, and been throwing 4 days a week. So my assumption, and now this is not necessarily reported, is that it's some sort of fatigue, and just reading the tea leaves is that he'll have another 9-10 days here to rest up and should be at least decent to go for the Super Bowl coming up. And I look at it too. I mentioned the weather there before. It's been a tough go of it with these games in Foxborough as well as Denver last weekend. Now you have sunny Santa Clara in front of you, so hopefully the arm will be able to deal with it a little bit better in those temperatures.
So, Mike, sort of a strange stat here I'd like you to sort of dive into a little bit more with me, which is that the Patriots are the first team in NFL history to beat 3 top 5 total defenses on their way to the Super Bowl in the playoffs: the Chargers, the Texans, and the Broncos. But interestingly enough, it's been their defense that's probably been better than these 3, and that's the reason why they won those games. Mike, what I'm trying to say is it's not like the Patriots have gone out there and thrown 40 spots on these teams. They're just eking out these wins. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's probably fair to say that their defense is really the reason why they're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, I would agree, and they've sort of hit their stride at the right time here. They had a little bit of a hiccup defensively to start this season. I mean, they were stout against the run, solid against the pass. They hit a little bit of a hiccup down the stretch of the season, or in the middle of the season, and then down the stretch have been able to kind of buckle down. And Milton Williams comes back, the star defensive tackle who Patriots gave a boatload of cash to this offseason, and he's been tremendous against the run and also rushing the passer. And then in the back end, in the secondary, Christian Gonzalez, who is widely considered to be one of the better cornerbacks in football, was up and down this season. Didn't seem like, frankly, his skill set was the best fit for what the Patriots were trying to do, which was, don't play man coverage, zone up a little bit, take what they or let the defense have, or let the defense take, or the offense rather take what you're giving them, and not allow a big play. But they've sort of fine-tuned this thing a little bit, and Gonzalez has been playing some of his best football as of late, and capped that with the interception of Jarrett Stidham at the end of last Sunday's game in Denver. So yeah, it is. They're peaking at the right time, and it's one of these cliches in football that defense wins championships. But I think the Patriots right now, the way they're playing and the way they've been able to score just enough points on the offensive side of the ball and then keep it stout on defense has sort of been their recipe for success as we enter next Sunday.
Yeah, Mike, before we get over to the Seahawks here, I do want to end with the big question I think that most people have is, how is it possible that this biggest story going into the Super Bowl. It has nothing to do with the Super Bowl, at least thus far. It's all about Bill Belichick not getting in to the Hall of Fame. I mean, you're in the area. You're certainly hearing everything about this. It's definitely stunning to me to see this happen. And the fact that the voters who said no, it's not like in baseball where there's this lone rogue person that we can't get a hold of. There's 10 people that didn't want to vote him in.
It's wild. And, you know, there's never a shy news cycle around the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I mean, and that's the reason, you know, like you said, that, you know, Bill, maybe the reason why he wasn't in is because of Spygate and Deflategate and things like that. Now we have Shouldergate with Drake May, and now we have Hall of Fame Gate with Bill Belichick. So, you know, these things always surround the Patriots at this time of year. You know, as far as my opinion on the matter, I think it's ludicrous that he didn't get in. You know, and I think Robert Kraft said it best yesterday. Put everything, all these personal vendettas to the side, and Bill Belichick is the greatest coach this sport has ever seen, bar none. And so, you know, again, was he the best to these media members? No, he was kind of a jerk at times and towed the line and told the rules or what have you. But, you know, he got it done. He won as many games as he did. He won 6 Super Bowls. And I think it's wild that, you know, they couldn't put that to the side and vote this guy in. So we'll see if it happens next year, but that's where we stand right now.
All right. Are you headed to Santa Clara, Mike, or are you going to watch it at home? Are you heading out there?
I am. We are headed there on Monday. We got a full week of coverage out there for CLNS Media, which is where I do my podcast, and then some SI stuff on the side as well. So should be fun. We'll be there all week and covering it up. Hopefully we get a Patriots win out there. Should be exciting stuff.
All right, Mike. Thanks again for coming on. Enjoy the trip.
Of course. Thanks, Craig. This is fun. Appreciate you.
All right. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, you know, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So you know, they may have objections. Certainly there's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But, you know, these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
It's just the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Hey, daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good. But all of a sudden, the prospect of daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Time for us to check in with our conference out at the Las Vegas Casino, G2E. We've got Brady Cannon today sitting down with the CEO and founder of MetaBet, Mark Phillip. Mark very heavily involved into how we view odds, streaming, and on television as well. What will the future look like for our streaming options and on our screens? Let's find out with Brady and Mark.
Welcome back to Inside G2E right here. SportsGrid. I'm Brady Cannon, and I am now joined by my friend Mark Phillip. He is the CEO and founder of MetaBet. And what I remember, I was lucky enough to speak with Mark last year. I remember his parent company that he created called Are You Watching This? And, Mark, welcome back, first of all. Great to see you again. I told you what's so fascinating about spending the week here at G2E is meeting so many people that are involved in so many different areas of this global gaming industry that we all enjoy and love so much. And here you are, taking that piece in taverns and bars and sports bars and casinos and whatever about Are You Watching This? And MetaBet, and there's so much more to it. Obviously, you're the expert. I'm not. I'm just the announcer. Tell us about what it means.
Sure. So we started a company called Are You Watching This back in 2006. Remember Boise State, Oklahoma, and the Fiesta Bowl? That was our first alert that, hey, something exciting is happening.
Right.
So our system finds these great games in real time, whether it's 2006 or my Yankees staving off defeat last night. We find those great games. We help people figure out how to watch. And then our MetaBet brand helps you figure out the best way to bet, the most compelling wager for any given moment.
And figure out a way to watch. What do you mean by that?
Any sports fan has torn their hair out at some point trying to figure out how in the world do I watch this game? Do I need rabbit ears, cable? Do I have to go to the sports bar, Peacock, Paramount? We monitor all of that, aggregate it, tidy it up, so you can just say, I want to watch the Yankees, and we'll deliver you to the right broadcast.
And it seems that dilemma is probably bigger now than ever.
Absolutely.
It used to be channel 1, 2, and 3, and now there's channel 1000, right?
Sports discovery has changed a little bit because for me, high school in the 90s, you would just go through the cycle. And I knew where to find things. I knew the Mets were on 9. I knew the Yankees were on 11. But you don't have that flipping through the channels anymore. Part of that is, even if you're a YouTube TV or a Sling customer, you don't have channel numbers. You just have infinite choice.
Right.
And so we rely a lot on algorithms for better or for worse.
Okay.
But discovery has changed. It's very different now than when you and I were younger.
Tell us about, Are You Watching, how to find... let's just kind of get this onto a ground floor level. Yeah. You walk into a casino or whatever. Where do we stumble across your company?
Sure. So we're B2B. So often we're the guy behind the guy.
Okay.
And so let's say you download the Fox Sports app. And you get an alert saying a game is good. Here's how to watch. That's powered by us.
Okay.
So people interact with our data in lots of ways. Some very subtle, some very overt. But our brand name is always behind the scenes. There's a lot more we'd love to do in sportsbooks and casinos. Still working on it.
And that's why you're here, right?
That's why I'm here.
All right, so you had a very fancy, catchy title for what you called this again. What was it, Interactive Analytics or something?
Sports Excitement Analytics.
Excitement Analytics, I love that. And how does that incorporate the sports betting, the gaming piece into the viewing?
Sure. I like to say we have 3 silos: curation, discovery, and monetization. Curation is, what game do I watch? What's the best game? As we move into November next month, there's an average of 134 games each day.
Wow.
For the month. Discoveries, how do I watch it?
Yeah.
Peacock, Paramount, Apple TV. Just saw a headline this morning that Apple might be announcing rights to F1 next year.
Okay.
That would be massive. But then you get into monetization. And from there, for us, it started with, what is the right bet to layer on for this given bit of content, for this game someone's about to watch? If it's off season, maybe it's a future. If it's in season, maybe it's a game line. If it's in game, maybe it's a prop. But I live in Texas. I shouldn't be served a gambling prompt. Maybe I should be served an apparel prompt, or a ticketing prompt,
Very
or
cool.
a streaming prompt.
Yeah.
Gambling is
so it's
really,
like region specific.
Exactly. If I'm overseas, let me stream it if I can. Let me buy a jersey, but don't sell me a ticket because I'm not going to buy it.
There he is, folks. Mark Phillip. He's the next wave in sports television gaming. I love it. Great talking to you every year, man.
Always fun,
Congratulations on the progress we've made since we last met.
I appreciate it, Brady.
All right. He is Mark Phillip, the CEO and founder of MetaBet. We'll be back with more in just a moment from G2E.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. Certainly there's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But, these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
This is the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of Daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Great to have Rich Waltz back in the house, calling college football. Well, that's come to an end. So college basketball is now on the menu for Rich, so he can weigh in on a number of teams and talk some brackets. And of course, you can catch him this coming spring in the World Baseball Classic, calling games in Houston as well. We'll dive into that as well. Always great to catch up with Rich Waltz here on the show. Rich, it's too late to say
Hi,
Happy
Craig,
New Year.
how are you?
I've missed the statute of limitations there, but it's always great to see you.
No, it's good to see you. And it's a busy time of year with, football just ended. Basketball's in mid-season form, and I'm starting to look at rosters for the World Baseball Classic for my region in Houston and for the whole event too, which will be my fifth. It's a really cool event, and it has gained a lot more traction and notoriety as it goes.
Yeah, every day we're getting news on that. That wasn't the case even 4 years ago. So yeah, that's definitely the case here. All right, so let's do college hoops. We'll try to get into some baseball at the end. Top seeds in the NCAA tournament as of now, potentially Duke, Arizona, not in that order, Nebraska, they were undefeated until the other day, and then Michigan. Those would be the top four. But I guess, Rich, we could start off with the Wildcats because they are undefeated at 21-0. They're 8-0 in the Big 12. And not only are they winning, but Rich, the majority of these games, I'd have to go back and look. If they have 21 wins, I'm guessing like 15, 16 blowouts. So that's kind of telling the story for them this year. They're just not playing competitive games.
Well, they played, sure, the landscape is littered. You could say that about Michigan too, as they, when Michigan went through Las Vegas at that high level event, they blew everybody out by 30 or 40 points. And Arizona's just so deep and so good. I will say this, though, one of the most entertaining games that I've seen this year, I wasn't there, but I was watching our good friend Book Shambi call it, was the Arizona-BYU game. That was incredibly high-level basketball, and BYU is certainly in the model of the top four seeds. The CBS Sports Bracketology breaks down not only the entire tournament field, but also gives you, here are the top seeds, and it seeds it all the way down. And BYU's in there. I think the Big 12 is really, really good. Tommy Lloyd is obviously a Gonzaga disciple from Mark Few's group and has done a wonderful job there. They're deep, they're good, they're young too. I mean, two of their best players are really, really young. Burry's had the big block the other night. Koa Pete's really good on that team as well. So And Lloyd has plenty of postseason experience as well. It feels like now he's in this model of college basketball with NIL and what they've always been able to do down there at Arizona. They're really, really good. But I think the theme of just in looking at bracketology right now is power conferences, man. This NIL unlimited transfer has kind of squeezed the mid-majors. If you look at last year's Sweet 16, it was all power conferences. There weren't any Cinderellas. Is that good for the NCAA tournament? I don't know. I kind of liked it when Butler made a run or San Diego State got to the championship game. That's kind of the fun. But in terms of the top teams, man, Duke, Arizona, and there's young players, some really good freshmen on both, and including Cam Boozer on Duke, who could be the player of the year in the conference. DeBonsa of BYU looked great the other night. I had him early in the year, and it looked like he was still trying to figure out which end was up, and you could tell he was really talented. Now you watch him, and you're like, this cat is as good as everybody says he is.
Let's get to some other hoops here before we get to baseball. We're going to run out of time here. So the 2 seeds out west, UConn, Iowa State, Illinois, Vanderbilt. Let's dive into the 3s, Luke, from here. Let's move on and show Michigan State out west, Gonzaga, Purdue, and Houston. So let's go through those 8 teams here, Rich, real quick. UConn, Iowa State, Illinois, Vanderbilt. Obviously, Michigan State's always a factor. Gonzaga, Purdue, and Houston.
I'm going to go with the 2 that I've seen in person. And that's I've seen Gonzaga a lot, and I had Houston in New York in late December. The one thing about Kelvin Sampson, if you look at his track record, he's just an incredible college basketball coach and certainly a Hall of Famer. His teams just really get better. They're never, sometimes you'll see them in November and December, and it's like, boy, these guys are, this is a tough team to play. And then when you get to February and March, that's when Houston really, really gets better. I like them a lot. Gonzaga is an interesting one to me because they're kind of still the Cinderella. They operate, budget-wise and schedule-wise as a power conference team. They're holding that seed right now without their 2 best players on the court, Graham Ike and Braden Huff. The best front line in college basketball, many people feel, were those 2 guys. They were both averaging 18 points a game. Huff hurt his knee, and he's out probably for another 6 weeks. Hopefully they get him back. They're hoping by the end of February into their conference tournament, into the NCAA. Ike had an ankle, and he should be back shortly. This is as good as a team that Mark Few has had probably since his last Final Four. I like them a lot. They've collected a group of players in the portal that are really good, but not headliners, and they've supplemented it with guys like Ike and Huff that have been in the program for a while. Iowa State, I'm a big believer in those guys. That's just a hornet's nest to go to. I haven't had them this year. I had them a couple times last year, and they have a relatively a roster intact. That's the other part of this sport right now is with a team like Houston or a team like Gonzaga or a team like Iowa State, if you retain program guys who are really great players and get, the next year and the next year, that's different than the makeup of many of these teams, which are just portal, and you're trying to create chemistry on the fly and hope that by the time you get into March that you've got what you're looking for.
Let's get real quick, Rich, one quick comment here on undefeated Miami, not the Hurricanes, the Red Hawks, 21-0 on the season. And look, they're going to play in the tournament, but how far can a team like this go? I transparently haven't seen them play this season.
Yeah, I've just, on the periphery watched highlights and stuff. I don't have any MAC games. They may have to win their conference tournament to get here because they're 51 right now in the net, which is a crime. The problem with the Miami of Ohio's and the St. Mary's and other teams like that right now, when it comes down to March, oftentimes people look at the committee will say, well, look, and Miami of Ohio has not played any quad 1 games. It's like they don't have any quad one wins. That's because no one will schedule these teams. You talk to coaches in this sphere of college basketball, and all they do is say, I tried to schedule these guys, I tried to schedule these guys, I tried to schedule these guys, but they knew we're good and they wouldn't play us. And so, that argument that, well, they haven't played anybody, there's a reason for a lot of these teams haven't played anybody. It's because the power conferences won't play them, or at least won't play them unless it's at their place. So that's just
gotcha.
Let me step off the soapbox a bit. But for Miami of Ohio, that's the team that's the kind of team you root for when on that first day of the NCAA tournament, right?
Yep. Rich, we got a minute to go. We'll have to bring you back to do more baseball, but you can catch Rich calling the baseball games for the World Baseball Classic. Rich, we have a minute to go. This is going to be the most anticipated World Baseball Classic ever. I think it'll be probably just as big as the World Series. People call me crazy, but it will be. I mean, the momentum for this is nothing like we've ever seen. They're talking about it every day.
Yeah, look, and in a short time, I'll tell you, I started in 2009 and watched the Netherlands beat the Dominican twice in the most unbelievable fashion. And this will be my fifth. Every year, the games are incredible. And now, finally, all the major leaguers want to play in it, and they're climbing all over each other to get on that roster. It's something that Japan has always had. Japan has always fielded the Ichiros, the Otanis, and all of that, their all-star team. And probably Japan and U.S. in the finals. But that was pretty cool last year, wasn't it?
It was. Thanks, Rich.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. Certainly there's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Just the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of Daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Let's talk some hockey with Dennis Bernstein, NHL senior writer for the Fourth Period, joins us now to weigh in on some of the latest stories in the National Hockey League before he heads out to Tampa to watch a game this weekend. Dennis, thanks for coming here on NewsWire. Great to catch up with you. And certainly I am familiar with the team more southern here in South Florida in Sunrise, the Florida Panthers. Dennis, who seem to be going through somewhat of a sleepwalking season, which shouldn't be surprising. I mean, Dennis, when you win championships, it's hard to regather and regroup for those regular seasons, but I guess I would ask you, is that what is going on, do you think, with the Panthers this season? Will they be able to just hit that switch like they did last year?
I think it'll be tough this year, Craig, because look, you're talking about a three-peat, which it's hard enough to win back-to-back Stanley Cups. This year, they're missing their best player, Alexander Barkov. Tore up his knee in practice early in the season. Probably doesn't return for the playoffs. Their best player right now is their goaltender, Sergei Bobrovsky. He's had a subpar season. I mean, they've dropped defensively. They were a really good team. Not the greatest, but they were 7th overall in goals against last year. This year, they're 23rd. That's why they're out of the playoffs looking in right now. And it's an older team. Brad Marchand, Sam Reinhart, they're having good seasons, but I just look at their back end, Craig, and I think that's the issue. That's the key. We could have a situation where the Stanley Cup champions are not in the playoffs when we get to April.
Yeah, as of right now, minus 210 on FanDuel to make it. So the assumption is that at some point they will turn it up. But as you can see, this is the longest odds they've had to win the Cup in 3 years at 11 to 1. They've fallen that far back. Meanwhile, as we dive into sort of the landscape of the National Hockey League, Dennis, 8 teams out of the 16 last season who made the playoffs are out of a playoff spot with 30 games to go. And naturally, we have the Olympics coming up as well. What do you make of how the season looks? And do you think that not only will we get a new, potentially new champion, but maybe some teams in the playoffs we haven't seen before?
Yeah, well, 10 games ago, I would tell you that it was one team and 31 teams, the one team being the Colorado Avalanche. But Craig, I'll be honest with you, they look bored. They were so good in the beginning of the year. They had run off these incredible streaks. They had played 40 games and lost 4 in regulation, which is unheard of in the NHL. They look bored. So maybe they need a little bit of a break at the Olympics, maybe make a trade to energize the roster. But it's not the teams that are getting in or getting out. It's who's getting in. Those long-suffering fans in Buffalo, 15 years without a playoff spot, they're going to be in the playoffs, Craig. They are. It's been a decade for the Detroit Red Wings. They're second in the division right now in the Atlantic Division. So it's teams like that. It's a team like the San Jose Sharks, who has this young kid I'm sure we'll talk about, Macklin Celebrini. They haven't made the playoffs in 7 seasons. They're in the spot right now. The Anaheim Ducks, 6 seasons. So there's not only a change in the guard, there's teams that have not been there for a very long time, that have been, their fans have been patient for rebuild. They're getting back into the playoffs right now. I think it's exciting for the league because unlike other sports, this is a situation where you don't often have repeat champions and you have new teams in the playoffs. And that's why in this league, because it's so contentious to make the playoffs, we don't need an NBA Cup. We don't need a play-in tournament. The regular season is basically the play-in tournament. So it's been great to see these teams that have not been in playoffs for a very long time exciting their fan base as we get down the stretch.
Dennis, let's hit on the Sharks a little bit more here. The Sharks franchise, last 20, 30 years, notorious for 2 things, either losing or being a low seed in the playoffs and beating a top seed. I mean, those are the things that they have been known for. They've had some massive upsets in the history of the National Hockey League. So Macklin Celebrini, he's 19 years old. This team has won 13 more games already than they won all of last year. So there's something in the water in San Jose that has them winning.
Yeah, it's called talent, Craig. This kid is talented. If you're on the East Coast and you don't want to stay until 10:30 at night to watch one of their games from home, stay up one night. Watch this kid. He's galvanized the franchise. He's refilled the building. Now, there's other players on the team. He has a running mate in Will Smith, who's really good. Another young kid. Macklin he's not Connor McDavid, and he's not he's not Leon Draisaitl because physically he's about 5'11", 175. I would equate him to the next Sidney Crosby. If he grows into his body, becomes more muscular, hits the weight room, that's the type of player he is right now. He's a complete player. He's savvy. I saw here a couple of weeks ago in Los Angeles. They were down by 1 goal with a minute left, scored the winning goal, set up the win in overtime. He is worth the price of admission. Even for a guy like me that doesn't pay to get in, I might pay to get in to see Macklin Celebrini. He's been that good. You mentioned a franchise that, the last couple of years, the building was empty in San Jose. It's not empty anymore. And it's great to see a young kid being trusted by this franchise at 19, leading the charge for the Sharks back to the playoffs.
Dennis, the Winter Olympics opens up here in just a few weeks here, and hockey begins on February the 11th. And even if you're not a fan of the Winter Olympics, this is generally the one sport that does get the most attention. I don't think it's a big surprise that Canada is a pretty significant favorite to win, but Team USA is plus 210. And, naturally at the Olympics every year, things happen, Dennis, that we cannot predict. There's always some upsets at this. How do you view the upcoming Olympic Games?
Okay, 2 outside teams. You talk about US and Canada. Look out for Finland, because the one adjective I use for that team is pesky. They're always pesky. They got a really good shot at winning a bronze medal. I don't think they can win gold or silver. Don't think they'll be in a championship game, but so. And Czechia, with the Ducks goaltender, Lucas Dostal, they're going to be trouble as well in the medal round. So look out for those teams for a possible upset down the road. It's going to be U.S. and Canada. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is Bill Guerin, who's the GM of the U.S. team, has taken a lot of criticism for the omissions he's had on this team. Cole Caulfield and Lane Hudson from Montreal. Jason Roberts had a huge season for Dallas. He's preferred to have the same type of team that went to the Four Nations final, a big physical team, as opposed to smaller players with skill. We'll see if it works. It didn't work in the Four Nations, although they came very close. If it wasn't for Jordan Binnington, they probably would have won that tournament. But I think that's the biggest criticism is, will that big physical team that really doesn't have the most skilled players on the team, can that win gold for the U.S.? Because it always seemed when we get to the Olympics, Craig, the U.S. comes out second best.
Definitely so. All right, Dennis, enjoy your trip to South Florida, or it's West Florida. You're going to the Raymond James Stadium this week? I didn't even are there two Winter Classic games? I must have missed this. I know there was one
Yeah,
go ahead.
There's a Winter Classic. We did it at Lone Depot Park in Miami.
Of course,
and then this is stadium. This is the stadium series. So they did one last year in Columbus. They drew 79,000. I believe Raymond James is close to a sell it as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But I am bringing my winter coat, Craig, because I can't believe the weather in Tampa right now.
Yeah, in the 30s in Tampa and the 20s this weekend in parts of Florida, and not the north parts like Pensacola and Jacksonville, even down by me. All right, appreciate it, Dennis. Stay warm. We'll talk again soon. Thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's great being on SportsGrid, Craig. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
All right, we got to take a quick timeout. We'll come back next. We got some last licks. Major League Baseball season win betting totals have been released. We'll take a look at them next. Don't go away.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, you know, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. Certainly there's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But, these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
This is the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Hey, daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Today, Joe Brady was named the new head coach of the Buffalo Bills officially, and at the press conference today, quarterback Josh Allen there seen in a walking boot, and Allen apparently, after the press conference was over, revealed that he has some small broken bone in his foot, so that obviously will have to get fixed, but plenty of time to get ready for next season. We'll play back some of that Joe Brady presser for you here tomorrow. Okay, as we wrap up the show today, Major League Baseball's win totals, the betting ones are out. We'll go through those real quick. Also, LeBron James, is this the end for his career or his last game played in Cleveland? And also, Myles Garrett a year ago had issues, and it feels like he's got issues again. Time now for some last licks. Couple of months away from the opening of Major League Baseball season, and so here we go. At the end of January, we've got the season win betting totals. They have been released officially, and again, you could bet these on the various different sports betting sites, but the one that obviously sticks out the most to all of us is the single highest season win total that has ever been posted since I remember this, whether it was legally or illegally, honestly, through the years. The Los Angeles Dodgers, to no one's surprise, have a season win total of 100. What is a little stunning is that their season win total is not 100, and it's not 101, and it's not 102, and it is not 103. The season win total for the Dodgers is posted at 103.5. Now, opinion only on this sort of stuff, folks. I never get involved at the top, and I never get involved in the bottom because a lot of different things can happen, but you're willing to bet a team at the beginning of the year to win more than 103 games, your money, not mine. I'm not saying I love an under here. I'm just saying, my gosh, if the Dodgers are that good and they win this many games, they'll have this wrapped up with a couple of weeks to go. They won't even play their starters at the end of the season. So, yeah, pretty high win total set for them. By the way, Yankees 92.5, Mets 90.5. And then you've got a lot of other teams involved. Atlanta, Philly, Seattle at 89. Those lead the pack going into Major League Baseball season. Again, spring training coming up in just a couple of weeks. Okay, was it last night? Was it the end for LeBron James playing in his hometown or his home city of Cleveland, the place that he brought an NBA championship to? It certainly felt like it. They gave a little speech before the game. There was a ceremony as well. They played a video for LeBron. And as far as I can remember, in past seasons, I don't remember them doing this for him. So is there something that he knows that we don't know? Is there something that could potentially be coming down the line at the end of the season? Or maybe we're all just wrong and maybe LeBron's going to keep playing and maybe he even goes back to Cleveland to play. But I would say this, having covered LeBron's era in Miami and have him leaving Cleveland, going to Miami and then going back to Cleveland again, you're simply talking about one of the greatest athletes that I've ever covered in person. Still have Michael Jordan, of course, in my opinion, above. But LeBron right there, second best NBA player that I've ever dealt with all time. And of course, some of the most fun games and most fun introductions in South Florida history with LeBron winning those championships and being here in South Florida as well. Wonder if the Heat will do the same thing. All right, finally, let's get to Myles Garrett. A year ago, Myles Garrett put a post out on social media saying that he likes the fans in Cleveland and he loves Cleveland's organization and everything that's going on, but it's time for a change. And Myles Garrett requested a trade a year ago. And so the Cleveland Browns took a look at it and said, this guy's one of the best defensive players of all time. Let's make sure we don't let this happen. And I guess in the end, Garrett wanted to get paid. He got a long-term contract extension. He ended up breaking the NFL season sack record this year. So they end up firing Kevin Stefanski. His defensive coordinator is Jim Schwartz. Stefanski leaves. They make the announcement that Todd Monken is the new head coach. Okay. Schwartz is not going to be the next head coach. In fact, may not stay as defensive coordinator now that Monken is the guy because Schwartz wanted the job. So this little circus has, guess what? Myles Garrett back on social media yet again yesterday and posting a picture of, a very sad individual sitting outside somewhere. Myles Garrett upset again, 2 years in a row. Is he going to request a trade again? Just got paid. I don't know. Obviously, this is weird, Think about it. If their defense was that good and Jim Schwartz was a defensive coordinator, why wouldn't they name Jim Schwartz the head coach? Why did they need Todd Monken to be the head coach? Cleveland does some bizarre things. We'll see what happens with them, and we'll see what happens with Myles Garrett coming up this spring and this summer. All right, that'll do it for our show today. Thanks to Michael DeCourcy of Sporting News, Dexter Henry of The Post, Mike Cadlick of SI Now, Rich Waltz, and thanks again to Dennis Bernstein for covering the National Hockey League with us. We really appreciate that. Guess what? We'll be back for our next edition of NewsWire on Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern. Thanks again to our director, Luke, for my producer, Frank. I'm Craig Mish. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow as we wrap up the week with another edition of NewsWire at noon Eastern. I will see you then.